Look at this sunlit Caribbean paradise, a shallow, inviting world of warmth and vibrant color. But just beyond this fragile turquoise illusion, the ocean floor suddenly falls away into nothingness. We are plunging 5 miles straight down into the suffocating darkness of the Puerto Rico Trench. Down here, sunlight is a forgotten memory. The only illumination is born from alien biology. This is a time machine made of stone and water. Welcome to the hadal zone. The pressure here is astronomical. It is strong enough to bend solid titanium like foil. We obsess over the Mariana Trench, yet Earth hides many more of these colossal scars. These are the deep, hidden seams of our planet. They dictate the future of continents. We travel to the freezing abyss of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, where water hovers near freezing. The Earth is not static. It is a violent churning engine of rock and heat. Beneath this silent mud, the massive Pacific Plate is being relentlessly dragged into the mantle. This process is called subduction. The ocean floor itself is being swallowed whole by the planet. The Tonga Trench in the South Pacific drops nearly 7 miles into the Earth's crust. It is a geological meat grinder. The forces at work here are beyond human comprehension. If you dropped Mount Everest into this chasm, its peak would still be submerged in darkness. This is a landscape born of friction and fire. Cold seawater meets the planet's molten blood. Every millimeter of this stone tells a story of an ancient, unforgiving, and violent Earth. It is an environment so hostile, so barren, that life simply should not exist here. Yet, the Earth forces life to find a way, even in the crushing, lightless void. The rules of survival have been completely rewritten in the deep trenches of our world. Behold the hadal snailfish. Its translucent flesh hides a skeletal structure built entirely of flexible cartilage. To survive the crushing weight of 5 miles of ocean, it abandoned rigid bones long ago. Down here, calcium dissolves. Evolution demands a soft, gelatinous body to withstand the planet's immense pressure. Food is incredibly scarce. These creatures rely on a slow, continuous drift of dead organic matter. We call this marine snow. It is a bleak harvest of decay falling from the sunlit world. A fallen carcass is an oasis. Giant amphipods swarm the rare bounty with frantic, ravenous energy. These pale scavengers possess specialized enzymes, allowing them to digest ancient wood and sunken terrestrial debris. But the trench offers more than falling shadows. In some fractures, the Earth exhales toxic gas. Here, in the Puerto Rico Trench, entire ecosystems thrive entirely without the warmth of the sun. They do not rely on photosynthesis. Instead, they harvest their energy from the planet's chemical breath. Through a miraculous process called chemosynthesis, symbiotic bacteria convert deadly hydrogen sulfide into life-sustaining energy. Predators adapt to this alien oasis. Blind crabs navigate the toxic vents by touch and chemical scent. A ghostly cephalopod drifts silently above the fray. It is a master of energy conservation. In an environment where a single meal might be months away, stillness is a supreme virtue. We find single-celled organisms the size of a human hand, weaving intricate structures from the mud. They act as living nets, patiently capturing whatever microscopic sustenance the freezing currents deliver to them. The abyssal grenadier prowls the edges of the trench, utilizing incredibly sensitive lateral lines to hunt. When you live in eternal darkness, you must learn to feel the vibrations of your prey. These creatures are not monsters of the deep. They are masterpieces of evolutionary engineering and resilience. They endure the unendurable. But soon, the very earth beneath them will violently remind us of its power. For millions of years, the Pacific Plate has been grinding relentlessly against the continental crust. Tremendous friction locks these colossal masses of stone together, building unimaginable and terrifying kinetic energy. Eventually, the rock can no longer hold. The violent tension of centuries finally breaks. A megathrust earthquake tears through the trench, releasing the explosive power of 10,000 atomic bombs. The fragile ecosystems we just witnessed are obliterated in an instant by the catastrophic shockwave. Gravity seizes the fractured wall. Millions of tons of solid rock begin to slide into the abyss. This is a turbidity current, a catastrophic underwater avalanche moving at highway speeds down the slope. It scours the trench floor clean, burying everything in its path beneath a suffocating blanket. These violent events carve the deepest canyons on Earth, constantly reshaping the anatomy of the abyss. But the destruction is not confined to the dark. The displacement violently pushes the ocean upward. A colossal column of water is lifted by the rupture, transferring the earthquake's energy to the surface. This invisible ripple travels across the open ocean, carrying the destructive potential of the deep trench. Down below, the violent storm of silt eventually slows. The topography has been entirely rewritten. New fractures open into the crust, bleeding fresh heat and toxic chemicals into the freezing water. Yet, the cycle of survival continues. Scavengers immediately emerge to reclaim the freshly scarred battlefield. The trench is indifferent to the cataclysm. It simply swallows the devastation and waits in darkness. This endless cycle of destruction and renewal is the very heartbeat of our volatile planet. These scars in the crust are not merely graves for the ocean floor. They are engines. The stone swallowed by these abyssal depths will not remain buried forever. It will return to us. The destruction of the crust here directly fuels the creation of the world we walk upon. Miles beneath the crushing dark of the trench, the sunken ocean floor meets the superheated mantle. Water trapped within the sinking stone violently boils, lowering the melting point of the surrounding rock. This volatile, molten mixture becomes less dense than the mantle, forcing its way violently back upward. It seeks the path of least resistance, pooling in massive, pressurized chambers just beneath the seafloor. When the pressure finally exceeds the strength of the crust, the Earth erupts into freezing water. Over countless millennia, these submarine eruptions build colossal mountains of black glass and hardened volcanic ash. Eventually, the mountain violently shatters the ocean surface, forging brand new land in clouds of steam. This is the true legacy of the subduction zone. The terrifying trench is a planetary forge. The beautiful islands of Tonga and Puerto Rico exist solely because of the devouring abyss below. Look at a map. Every major trench runs perfectly parallel to a sweeping arc of volcanoes. The very soil that supports lush Caribbean rainforests was born from the destruction of ancient oceans. Rain and wind endlessly batter this new stone, breaking it down into incredibly rich, fertile soil. From the violent death of the seafloor springs an absolute explosion of terrestrial life and color. Humanity builds its cities upon this recycled earth, blissfully unaware of the dark void churning nearby. Only a few daring explorers truly comprehend the terrifying, majestic scale of the machine beneath us. Our entire planet is a closed loop. The ocean trenches are the great recyclers of Earth. They even regulate our climate, dragging immense amounts of trapped carbon down into the molten mantle. Millions of years later, that very same carbon is exhaled back into the atmosphere by volcanoes. Without this brutal cycle of destruction and rebirth, our atmosphere would stagnate and life would perish. To truly understand the light, we must continuously look back down into the terrifying, crushing dark. We have mapped the entire surface of the moon with staggering, crystal-clear precision. Yet, the deepest scars of our own planet remain shrouded in suffocating, impenetrable mystery. To reach the hadal zone, we must build vessels capable of surviving cosmic brutality. Engineers forge spheres of ultra-thick titanium designed to hold back the crushing ocean weight. A single microscopic flaw in the metal means instant, catastrophic implosion in the dark. Through a tiny acrylic viewport, human eyes finally pierce the eternal, freezing black abyss. Robotic arms reach out into the void, clumsy intruders in a perfectly adapted ecosystem. Every handful of mud retrieved from these depths holds secrets of unimaginable biological value. We discover novel microbes possessing unique enzymes, completely alien to the sunlit world above. These ancient microscopic survivors hold the potential to revolutionize modern medicine and human survival. But our visits are fleeting. We are fragile tourists in a hostile, timeless realm. As our vessels flee back to the light, the abyss reclaims its absolute silence. The Puerto Rico Trench does not care about our fragile, temporary technological achievements. The freezing void of Kuril-Kamchatka existed long before the very first humans walked upright. The Tonga Trench will continue its slow, grinding subduction long after our cities crumble. To understand geological determinism is to accept our fleeting place in the grand timeline. Earth is the main character of this story. We are merely temporary, fragile passengers. The fiery engine beneath the crust dictates the rise and fall of all life. It pushes continents apart and smashes them together, forcing evolution to constantly adapt. Entire dynasties of ancient creatures have been swallowed whole by this relentless tectonic engine. The bones of ancient leviathans now rest miles beneath the earth, completely erased. The subduction zones are the great erasers of history, slowly swallowing the ancient past. Even the global ocean currents are commanded by the violent geometry of these scars. Freezing water plunges into the deep, driving a global conveyor belt of vital nutrients. When these deep waters finally upwell, they ignite massive, spectacular blooms of microscopic life. The largest animals on Earth survive solely because of the physics of the deep. Sperm whales dive toward the tectonic darkness, chasing squid that hide in the abyssal twilight. They echolocate in the gloom, brushing the very ceiling of the terrifying hadal zone. But even they cannot survive the crushing, lethal depths of the true ocean trenches. That realm belongs exclusively to the pale, soft, and blind anomalies we have witnessed. Creatures that have traded the warmth of the sun for the stability of darkness. Organisms that drink the toxic boiling blood of the earth to sustain their colonies. single-celled giants weaving delicate traps in the mud, waiting patiently for falling dead snow. They are the ultimate survivors, ruling a lightless, crushing, freezing, and utterly alien kingdom. They thrive precisely where the physics of our planet dictate that life seems impossible. Yet they live on borrowed time, perched upon the most volatile fault lines imaginable. The walls of the abyss stand as silent witnesses to millions of years of violence. As we ascend back toward the surface, the crushing, lethal pressure slowly begins to relent. The absolute suffocating blackness finally gives way to the deep, haunting blue of the twilight. Faint rays of golden sunlight finally pierce the gloom, welcoming us back to life. The vibrant, bustling colors of the shallow coral reef explode into view once again. Millions of silver fish dance in the warm currents, entirely oblivious to the dark below. We return to the sunlit Caribbean paradise, where our journey first began so abruptly. The gentle waves wash over the shoreline, projecting a perfect illusion of eternal peace. But look closely at the lush, towering mountains, standing proudly against the blue sky. Their dark, jagged foundations tell the violent, undeniable truth of their abyssal, fiery origins. The Earth is an interconnected machine. The surface relies entirely upon the deep void. Every drop of water, every breath of air is part of this grand, terrifying cycle. The Puerto Rico, Tonga, and Kuril trenches are not just dark, dead oceanic abysses. They are the vital, beating arteries of a living, breathing, and incredibly dangerous planet. As the sun sets on the surface, casting long, peaceful shadows across the water, remember the silent, crushing, freezing world that operates ceaselessly miles beneath your fragile feet. A world where bizarre, pale monsters patiently endure the unimaginable weight of the ocean. A world where tectonic titans grind together, preparing to violently reshape the continents tomorrow. We have barely scratched the surface of these magnificent, terrifying deep-sea time machines. The deep ocean holds secrets that could rewrite the entire history of human knowledge. But it demands absolute respect, for it possesses the geological power to erase us entirely. The abyss is watching, waiting and relentlessly churning the ancient stones of the earth. When the earth finally decides to swallow our world, will anyone be left listening?